a lot of women generalize men as being, oh, they're a fuckboy, they're a narcissist. That's because maybe they have an avoidant attachment style, right?
Would you be happy providing for a man for the duration of your relationship, let's say on a financial level?
No. Provide for myself. I'm not gonna treat him like a child.
There's a difference there because men are happy to provide for the woman he wants.
And that comes down to instincts. Yes. Yeah.
If a guy's doing that for a girl, he expects more from her in other areas.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yo guys, welcome back to another episode on my channel. You know we love having great conversations all around dating. I always get people with different perspectives on, seeing what we can take from it, so it helps us move forward. So I'd love you to welcome, please, Miss Jessica Paul from the Jessica Paul podcast.
Hello.
Shout out to the podcast. How you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you.
You've come a long way for us, haven't you?
A long way.
Where have you come from?
Manchester.
Oh my gosh, all the way from Manchester. All the way from Manchester. You can hear it in the accent.
Yeah.
You feeling all good?
I'm great, yeah. Just the train's obviously delayed. Sorry about that.
No,
bit late.
No, don't you worry about it. To be fair, the episode before, we were really late starting that.
Yeah. No, I'm very well. Yeah, sunny still, so feeling good.
Good. Well, listen, I think we should jump right in.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, first question to you. Now, obviously, you've got your podcast about manifestation.
Yeah.
You've helped a lot of women feel empowered in their lives and make waves in their lives. So, a lot of this content and stuff we talk about is obviously about dating between men and women, but mainly it's for women. So, we want to see how we can help women find what they want. So, I want to ask you, Jess. A lot of girls are expressing that they want relationships nowadays, and a lot of them say that they struggle to find what they're looking for. Why do you think that is, from your experience and maybe from your expertise?
Well, to put it really bluntly, it's because they don't know what they want.
Yeah.
It really does come down to that because, and if we are going to come at this from a place of healing, because I've done a lot of work around it myself.
Yeah.
Until you really know who you are, then you're not going to know who you want. And so you're constantly going to tell yourself, I can't find that person, because you don't know where that person is inside you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I know it might sound a bit cliche, but it is really true. If you don't know yourself, who you are, then you're not going to know who that guy is for you, or girl. And therefore you're going to find it hard to find them, I hear
that, and that obviously that definitely makes sense. Would you say more people know who they are today than they did, let's say, 60 years ago? Do you think there's more awareness today about individual self?
Definitely, because there's more resource out there, and there's more open chat about self-development and and things like that, and podcasts and YouTube channels and everything that you can dive down holes in, so
then the reason I asked that right is because if arguably we kind of know ourselves better today than 50-60 years ago, more people are single today than back then.
Yeah, it's an interesting point.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's an interesting point. I mean, what's your theory on that?
Depends who it is. I think if I'm being honest, I think depending on the metrics, I think a lot of women use, I think we're misguided in the metrics, how we measure people nowadays. We were talking in the car that, that I've heard, for example, people say, oh, well, he has to be this high, otherwise I won't even consider him.
Yeah.
Where it's just well, that has nothing to do with who he'd be to you, what he'd be to you, what he could do for you. I think there's an excess of options.
Massively.
There's too many options.
That is true, actually. And because I'm literally looking at this map on your wall, the fact that we were talking in the car about you going to Australia and doing things because you can go so many places as well.
Yeah.
You're meeting an abundance of people. So yes, there's a shit ton. Oh, can I swear?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh my God,
Fuck
I'm so
sorry. Fuck it.
I'm sorry, I do come out with a lot of
go for
bad
it.
language.
She's from Manchester.
Because there is so much choice out there.
Yes.
You can then start to feel a little bit overwhelmed, anything. It's if you go into a shop and there's too many clothes, you're which one do I pick? What do I pick? So it is a bit like that. And I felt that way before as well. That kind of, but however, I will say that when I have done this research into attachment styles, which I'm sure we'll touch upon.
100%.
you know, when you do know yourself better, you can understand why you're maybe pushing people away. Because I've been in positions where I've done that. It's that kind of the grass is greener syndrome, where you're you're with someone that could be amazing, but then you're like, but is there someone better out there, or is that little thing that they do that annoys me?
Matches on your Tinder profile.
Yeah.
So if I didn't love this date, I can go on those.
Exactly. But the thing is, when you do know yourself better, and you know that actually maybe that could be coming from a place of, you know, unhealed trauma, like, you know, and being in this like fearful attachment where you want to just push people away when you get too vulnerable, then when you start to heal that in yourself, things like that grass is always greener thing goes out the window, and you can be secure in a...
So talk to us about your journey from maybe having this kind of mentality of, okay, there's always something better, to then maybe, I don't know, is it maybe giving yourself more a chance to connect with someone, or you know, talk to us about that?
Yeah, I mean, like we were just saying before as well, like I've kind of hit this point where personally I'm really looking for a deep connection. You know, I've been through, I think as well, if we, again, I'm not to generalize like anybody or any age or anything like that, but you do kind of go through a certain age where you want to explore, you want to just explore like you know, if you are not in a relationship, if you're dating,
of course.
And like, you know, go and have a good time, go and, you know, even if you're just seeing people for one night, like, and I kind of have had that stage in my life. I came out of this is a bit of context, like for people watching, like I came out of a very long relationship 3 years ago now, but I was with this guy for 5 years, and we were on and off a little bit. It was never meant to work, right? But I was with someone for so long, so then after that I had this whole stage where I was like, whoa, like, and maybe a bit later than most people as well, you know, later on in my 20s, where I was like, whoa, like I just want to go out and have fun, and you know, and be that woman that does, you know, maybe go sleep around and you know, do that, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know. But then you come out of that phase and you go, okay, well, what is it I really want? And after doing so much work on myself and my inner world, I know what I want, and I'm ready for a proper connection with someone. So that's where you start to go, okay, rather than who's out there, like where is everyone, like there's so many options, it's kind of like, no, I'm going to invest in this person and see what happens.
So how do you do that and I completely get what you're saying, how do you do that because there are quite a few people, you know, who they've built a habit of being with someone in a very casual way for a short amount of time, and then choosing the next best thing and the next best thing. And then, so how do you break that habit if you're so used to doing it? Or how did you break that habit? I don't know.
Healing and discipline, and like, you know, because when I say the word discipline, I actually mean it, because like if you do have a habit or a pattern that you're in where you're jumping ship all the time, or you're just never satisfied, you have to be disciplined with it if you want change.
So what does that look like, being disciplined with it? Let's say you've jumped ship because you're not satisfied every time.
Because you're not satisfied every time, yeah,
with the person you're with the guy you're with.
Well, it's allowing yourself to receive. It's allowing yourself to be in that feminine and receive. So if they want to take you out on a date and more dates and do that, like, just allow it and just see what happens. For me, the reason why I've been in a position where I do push boys, or I have in the past pushed boys away, because as I was saying before about these attachment styles, I've got a fearful avoidant attachment style. And so that just basically means that, like, I am that... Okay, I just want to rewind a little bit, because I think that there's, for people watching, so they kind of understand. Should I explain the attachment styles? Because
let's start with the attachment styles, and then we'll talk about how people operate in them. Yeah,
because I feel like I keep going on about it and it's a bit confusing.
Go for it.
Basically, there's 4 main attachment styles. There's anxious attachment, fearful avoidant, and secure, right?
Yes.
And so the anxious style is where you are, as it says on the tin, very anxious in the dating situation, where you're kind of, you'll put the other person above yourself all the time.
Right.
You'll become quite needy. Like, you'll text a lot, and if they've not text back, you'll be like, why they not text back? And you'll get in your own head about it, right?
So it's anxious of losing the person.
Yeah, so
right.
you're in that very, like, fearful, mode
Right.
where you're like, oh my gosh, I can't lose this person, right?
Right.
And you put people on pedestals.
Sure.
Avoidant is the opposite of that. So avoidant is what most people will jump to saying they're a narcissist, right?
Yes.
And I see this, what I see a lot is, and again, not to generalize, because it's the whole point of this conversation, that, a lot of women can maybe generalize men as being, oh, they're a fuckboy, they're a narcissist. And
yeah.
that's because maybe they have an avoidant attachment style, right? Equally for men, they could be like, oh, this girl's too needy. Why is she always texting me? And that is what you hear the majority of the time, right?
Very much so.
But
I have a different theory to that, but I'll
okay,
say
yeah,
that after.
right. But what I want to invite into the conversation is that, like, men and women can have all sorts of attachment styles. So we shouldn't generalize. So that's the anxious and the avoidant. The fearful avoidant is basically like a mixture of the two. So that's like your Miss Hot and Cold or Mr. Hot and Cold, where it's like, what is going on with this person? And again, it's not coming from a bad place. It's coming from an unhealed place because, you're anxious that you want, basically you crave, as a fearful avoidant, you crave intimacy and a relationship with someone, but you're shit scared of it, right? And again, there's many reasons for that. Now, a secure attachment style is the attachment style that we should all be aiming for, which is where you have healed, or you just, some people are just secure and they're dating, and that's great. But basically, as I was saying before, women can be avoidant and men can be highly anxious, and it works both way round. So I don't like hearing when girls will say, oh, this is a fuckboy, or, and we do hear this a lot in female conversations. And it's like, actually, if you just took the time to understand not only your own attachment style, but maybe theirs as well, you'd understand it's not really coming from a bad place. Obviously, there are narcissists out there. Like, that is a thing. But more often than not, I find that people will jump to the conclusion that someone's a narcissist when actually maybe they're not.
Maybe they're just not interested. Because I think...
Exactly.
I think... So one thing that you said that happens a lot, that men are labelled as... Oh, like a fuckboy, because he's seen as avoidant as a general thing. That's what we hear. And now this is, the girl is like more needy or whatever. And I think while I agree with the attachment styles, that definitely plays a part. I think that a lot of the time, if a guy seems to be avoidant, it's because he's just not looking for anything serious with you.
Yeah.
And I think half the time what can happen is, I think a lot of girls can sometimes confuse sexual attention for like relationship attention. So like it's very, because I think girls think, oh well, if a guy will have sex with me, then he's open to having a relationship with me. I think part of the whole commitment and settling down for guys, I do think a lot of it is about timing. But also, and that's kind of half the work that I do, kind of helping people, especially women, understand with men that just because he wants to come over and spend the night with you, that doesn't mean he's actually taking you as seriously as you may be taking him. There are other cues and other signs that show this. Does that make sense?
Do you think it's his responsibility, though, to voice that?
I think that if she wants to know, she should ask.
Yeah. So
like, we should never make assumptions.
Yes,
so we shouldn't
exactly.
assume that someone's looking for something casual.
Yeah.
But we shouldn't also assume that they're looking for something serious.
Massively.
If you don't know, then we need to have the courage to ask.
Yeah.
If the person lies, then that's on them.
Yeah.
Right? If they lead you on, that's on them. However, I also think sometimes people are afraid to ask because they're afraid of the answer. But I think there are also, and like I said, it's kind of what I try and showcase as well, is there are signs that show whether like a guy might be taking you seriously or just seeing you as casual? You know, how does he date you? How does he spend time with you? Does he introduce you to his friends? Like, does he inquire about other aspects of your life? Or is the only way you get his attention is when you text him a half naked picture? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I think all these elements definitely play a part. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I massively.
Does that make sense?
I mean, no, massively, because, you know, like, going back to these attachment styles, number one, I know I did say it before, but like, really, like, the whole point of you understanding anything to do about those attachment styles is for yourself.
Yes.
Because as I always advocate as a coach, and like you, I'm sure, advocate as well, is that like, we live in a world full of free will, and I'm a manifestation coach, so I don't teach my clients you can manifest a partner. Like, that's actually bullshit, because they've got their own mind and they've got their own stuff going on. Like, you can only manifest within yourself.
Yes.
And that might have a positive effect energetically on how a person feels around you, but 100%. Like, you can't make a person fall in love with you. So those attachment styles are literally there for you to understand you on a core level. And really, the way that we heal these styles in ourselves, if you kind of, there's actually, guys watching, there's loads of quizzes you can do to find out, like, you know, what your style is, like, if you're interested. But, you know, once you know that, the main form of healing is through communication.
100%.
So going all the way back to what you were just saying there about, you know, actually being confident enough to ask the question if you really want, you know, you want clarification on it. Yeah. Communication is how you heal. Yeah. Yeah. You know, on both sides.
Yeah, definitely. So what do you say to, so for example, what would you say to a girl who maybe feels like she's a serial dater, that she's constantly dating different guys and stuff, and she feels like she meets some good guys and stuff, but then it never really works out, either because he's not looking for something serious or he doesn't fulfill her needs in some way. And let's say she wants to find like a relationship or something fulfilling, like, what would you maybe say for her to look at, or what would you say to her? Like,
well, I think if you're dating lots of people and it's draining you, then that's just a big sign that maybe you should just be by yourself for a little bit and just discover yourself and like actually be in a relationship with you for a while. Like, if you're dating loads of people and like hopping from one person to the next, but you know you want to settle down in a relationship. Yeah. Again, it's knowing exactly what you want and being disciplined. Going, okay, no, I am going to really, if I'm dating this guy and he wants to make it more of a thing, I'm going to give him a chance. You know, 100%. I'm just going to give him a chance. Because I think that, again, going all the way back to the first point that we made in this conversation, like when we first started this chat, there is so much choice out there. There is not your dream person. There is not your soulmate, like in the sense of like you've got one soulmate in life and that's the person and you're going to hunt through all these people to find him or her. Like, you can find a soulmate in anybody.
Where do you think that soulmate idea comes from? Like, why do you think there's so many people who like, I see that more from women being like, I'm going to find my perfect soulmate. I think guys learn a harsh reality very early on when it comes to women. But yeah, where do you think that comes from?
I mean, it depends if we're going at this from a spiritual level or from a psychological level. Psychologically, we've been conditioned through watching Disney films and like all of these things. Yes. That is just the way it is. Yeah. Boy meets girl, and you fall in love and you get married, and that's great.
I always find it funny, you know, when you watch these films, and don't worry, there's nothing wrong with enjoying these films. No. But like, you know, when you watch these films and you think, if that happened in real life, that would be weird as hell. Like, I'm thinking about like Les Miserables, right? Like the first time Marius sees Cosette, he doesn't say anything. He writes her a letter, follows her home, and leaves it at her gate.
It's fucking weird.
If that actually happened, you would call the police. You'd be like, that's fucking weird. But people watch that and they go, oh my gosh, how romantic. Like, do you know what I mean?
Actually, do you know what though? This has brought up a really interesting point.
Go on.
I actually feel as well that because we've shifted so much, and obviously like but a lot of us do think that's bullshit.
Yes.
I find some girls as well turn their nose up at any boy trying to be romantic.
Really?
Yeah, and I've seen this. I've seen it myself. I've seen it in other people. Yeah. Where it's like, you know, if someone comes up to you on the street and goes, "I think you're beautiful. Can I have your number?"
Yes.
A lot of girls nowadays will go, "Oh, creep," and walk on. Right?
Yeah.
And I want to hear your opinion on this, because that was a part of also me having to be disciplined in my healing and going, actually no, Jess, just give these people a chance too. Not everybody is a creep that's like coming up to you. If they've genuinely attracted to you, they could be a really nice person. And like we push people away all the time thinking no.
Yeah.
Basically just being open and allowing yourself to receive. You don't know what you're going to find, you know.
100%. So how did you get from the mindset, because I think you're right, I think a lot of people do have that mindset, and if I'm being honest, like sometimes I coach guys and I never advocate for a guy to cold approach a girl in public. And the reason I say that now, 10 years ago maybe different, I say that now because they can come across as creepy if she's not interested.
How do you coach a guy on approaching a woman then?
I think
it's interesting.
Right place and right time. I don't.
Yeah, but what if the right place and the right time was passing that girl or seeing that girl walk out of a tube and be like, oh.
It might be, but I think the reason is because of awareness of sexual harassment, which is very much needed. However, and I've said this before, the line for what's harassing someone is not clear for a lot of guys, because somebody can approach you, you think it's just an innocent approach, but could approach a different girl, she calls it harassment.
Yeah,
So, and a guy doesn't know how she's going to react until he makes the approach. Does that make sense?
I'm like, I feel it in my heart. Like, I actually feel so... No, I do. Because I feel energy so much. Like, I feel bad for guys in that way. Like, it shouldn't be that... They shouldn't feel like they're treading on eggshells. But that is the way society has gone through just everything. And, like...
I think, especially with dating apps eliminate the risk of it going wrong and there being consequences for him, because it's like if a girl rejects him on a dating app, she just doesn't swipe on him. But if he approaches her in public and she's like, oh my gosh, you're harassing me, like don't approach me, there's like public shame and stuff. Maybe she could, like, there could be more that comes from that.
But what are your thoughts on that? Because as a coach myself, that makes me so sad, because one of the things that I'm really trying to, on a spiritual level, help people with is just get rid of any kind of fear in your life. And that's just like so sad to think that guys are being conditioned to fear. Like,
so what I would say, so when I've coached guys, what I would say is look for choosing signals. And if you don't get a choosing signal, don't approach.
What's a choosing signal?
Okay, so it could be something like if you're at a bar, you see a very attractive girl at the bar, she may look at you once because she just looked at you, because we look at people, right? But if she looks at you again and maintains a little bit longer, maybe she's into you.
Yeah.
And then, giving the secrets away now. If you're with one of your friends, walk past her and ask your friend to see if she actually turns her head, either when you walk past or even after she passed, because no one wants to make it obvious. But if she notices you walk past, maybe she's into you. Then go to the bar and just say, hey. But those were quite clear choosing signals.
Yeah.
If you see a girl at a bar, she's attractive, she may make eye contact with you once, but she doesn't again. And then you get in her peripheral and she doesn't look at you, I'll be like, you're not getting any signals, don't do it.
Yeah,
that's what I would say.
That's spot on, really. Like, I mean, like I said before, I'm really in tune with energy. So, like, for me... I don't even really need to see those signals. I just freaking know half the time if a guy is interested or not. Sometimes I do get it wrong. Yeah. But like, do
you not think guys are more obvious than girls though? I think girls are more in tune with social cues, and I don't think most guys are.
Yeah.
So a girl could be like, I was showing you that I was liking you, and the guy's like, I had no freaking idea.
I had no idea, yeah.
Equally, a guy could be trying to talk to a girl and she's like, I was showing him through my signals that I'm not into him and he didn't leave me alone. I think a lot of the time because guys don't know, a lot of guys don't know, like girls are just more in tune, do you know what I mean? So that's kind of part
totally. And obviously there's some guys that are really in tune as well, and
yeah.
you know, like, but
as a woman, like, yeah, you could probably see it a mile off.
As a woman, yeah. And like, I do agree, because as a woman, I guess if I'm trying to signal that I like a guy,
yeah,
it would just be like, it would be eye contact for sure.
So I have a question for you. Would you ever approach a guy, like cold approach a guy?
Oh, massively.
Yeah,
I've done that before. Yeah.
Oh yeah, did you? Tell us the story, go on.
I mean, yeah, but again, I have to admit, it hasn't been on the street. It's been in a bar situation where I've been with friends.
Was he part of the group, or wasn't part of the group?
No, but there's been eye contact involved.
Right.
So yeah, basically everything you were saying before. Like, I would never, like, approach somebody if I thought there was genuinely no kind of connection there at all.
Would you cold approach a guy who you felt you didn't get any signals? You just liked the look of him, you liked his style, his energy, and you're like, let me just go talk to him? Or would you kind of gauge if he found you attractive?
Oh no, I'd try and gauge first.
Okay, yeah.
But again, that's, if we do go back to attachment styles, that is very much that attachment for me anyway, because a fearful avoidant is trying to figure out everything because they don't want to be hurt. And so like, then there is no way someone like me would go up to someone without knowing for sure that person would engage on some level with me.
Yeah. But what if he's the guy of your dreams?
Well, exactly. That's why I got to heal.
No.
Yeah.
What's something you'd like to ask? Is there something maybe either you or maybe through your clients, or is there something that you've never understood something about men, like why they do something, or why they're moving away, or do you feel like you've sussed us out?
I can't say that. No, like
never. We can never suss women out either.
No, like
that's part of the fun. There, it's part of the mystery.
It is part of the fun. Kind of like I was saying before, right? Differently for me, maybe, like, and again, maybe there's some women watching that feel the same way, and that they have this kind of avoidant attachment too, where they're like, oh no, I do push boys away. I'm not the needy one. The boy is the needy one.
Yeah, very true.
So for me, like, I tend to find myself dating very anxious men, like men that do text a lot and always like, oh, what you doing? Can we meet up? And for me, it just gets too much. Like,
yeah.
And I guess, but then I have on occasion dated a guy that maybe is more the same attachment style as me, or like more avoidant.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I guess because I'm like, well, used to, because I am working through this, but like always like kind of second guessing, like what could they be thinking, basically, like fearing, you know, like, are they going to, how do I put this?
Whether they're really into you.
Yeah, whether they're really into you.
They're like, just using you or something.
Like, it's funny because you're asking me this question. I actually don't know. Like, I haven't really thought, like, what I would... I guess maybe it's because in dating, I'm very self-assured.
Yeah.
So, like, because I don't have that kind of anxiousness, I don't particularly care. Like, that sounds so bad, but I really don't give a shit, like, what they're thinking in terms of, like, if they're not into me or something. But
it's more about what they're showing you, how they're investing in you. Or...
Yeah. This is difficult. I feel like I don't really have...
She's got it sus, guys. Don't worry, she's got it sus.
I don't. I genuinely don't have it sus. I think it's more that...
But you're right, like, not worrying about what he thinks and...
Because I'm the type of person that is like, if they aren't interested in me, I'm not interested in them. And it's as simple as that. I'm not going to take the time to figure out his psychology.
Yes.
I'm just going to be like, see you later. There is plenty more fish in the sea. Do you know what I mean?
So,
like, for me, it's... If someone's really not into me, that... If someone is showing signs they're not into me, that's just a turn off altogether. I'm like, I'm done.
So what are the signs of, like, a guy, I don't know, let's say he was interested in you, but like he wasn't looking for something serious. Like, what would you say are like some key signs that you'd be like, okay, he's not really taking me seriously or something?
Oh, okay. Again, this might be different for a lot of women, but I don't really get that in dating, because I am subconsciously attracting anxious men that want something, that really want something. I don't let myself get vulnerable with men that could potentially reject me.
I see what you're saying.
I will just friend zone them straight away, or like I'll just be like, nah, I don't fancy you. That's part of something that I probably need to work through.
It's quite risk averse, isn't it?
Yeah, basically, which is a bit stupid, really, because I'm a businesswoman. I take so many risks in life. I take such big risks, but not in dating.
Yeah. Have you always been that way, or is that kind of something more recent about you, would you say?
It's hard to know, really, because I was in a relationship for so long, and I feel like maybe that had something to do with how I feel about dating. You know, maybe that's changed something within me just through that whole experience. But I have always had my friends say to me, oh, God, why do you always pick ugly guys?
Savage to any guys watching this, savage. Like, what?
No, that sounds awful.
Well, not every guy. If you talked about a mutual person we know, and he's very attractive.
He's attractive, yeah. But just in the sense of like, and I don't. That's not me saying it. That's my mates, because every guy I've dated and I've liked them. Because for me, it's all about personality. I really don't give a shit the way you look, to be honest. Like, you have to be attracted. You have to feel attracted to that person.
Yeah.
But for me, it's not down to a certain look.
So have you ever met a guy he was into you, and on first look you weren't that attracted to him, but then because you got to know him, you became more attracted?
Massively.
So how do you get past the initial thing of I'm not that attractive to you? Because I think a lot of people are like, well, if I'm not so attracted to you, I'm not going to give you a chance right now.
Yeah.
So how do you remain open to connecting with someone who maybe at first you're not that attracted to?
I think it depends how you know the person, because if it was on a dating app, there wouldn't be much chance, right?
It's not happening. There's no chance happening. It's true.
Because that's the way a dating app is, designed to be. It's off how they look.
Yeah, of course.
If it was through a mutual friend or through a friendship group, you go out as friends. Just be mates. For me as well, I feel that that's the only way you're going to really build a connection with someone, is if you just allow yourself to be comfortable enough to just not friend zone someone, but just be like, let's go have fun.
Yeah.
Rather than let's go and have a serious sit down dinner together. Like,
completely agree.
Just go have fun. Just go and do something like interesting. And even if it is just the two of you, and you're just having a laugh and you've got no attachment to it, and you're just like, because for me, I tend to, if it is that I'm not initially really attracted to you. Yeah. If a guy can make me laugh, and again, right, like this is, a lot of women feel the same, this is why, like, people like, what's his name? Pete Davidson just
Kim K.
gets freaking Kim K and Ariana Grande. It's like, because he's fucking funny. Like,
well, being funny is like a sign of social intelligence. So if you're incredibly funny, because you have to like be witty on the spot, know your audience and everything. Like, if you can be funny in social environments, then that kind of shows you have high social intelligence, which is attractive for everyone.
It's attractive. What I will say about that, though,
go on,
is my ex-boyfriend was very funny, and I think he hid behind the funniness sometimes.
Sure.
When I stripped back the layers with him, obviously being with him for so long, he was pretty insecure about a few things, and like we all are, by the way. It's he it's perfectly normal.
Yeah.
And so that was probably ultimately why our relationship broke down. So it's not always what you see like on first that you have to get to know someone.
Yeah, that can attract someone, but that's not going to keep someone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to have. Yeah.
Have you ever? Has a guy ever friend zoned you, and then, like maybe you were into him? Has he ever friend zoned you, and then you came out of the friend zone and you guys started dating or something? Has that ever happened for you?
No. I've never been friend zoned.
So many guys hate you right now. It's like, nah, every guy wants to date me.
No, I've never.
No, I'm joking.
But the reason that every guy wants to date me is because I don't allow myself to be vulnerable with the potential of being rejected, like I said before.
So what does that look like? Because you said that before. So what does that look like? What do you mean?
Yeah, I suppose this is getting really freaking deep into my own psychology, isn't it? And
that's why we're here.
I'm being very vulnerable now on this camera. I'm open
They'll
enough.
really appreciate it.
Like I'm open enough.
And you don't have to share anything you don't want to. You
know no, massively. But I'm a very open person anyway. It's fine.
Okay. You can grill me after this. Don't worry.
What was the question?
So what? How? Oh, you said that guys who've approached you you've never been friend zoned because you don't allow yourself to be vulnerable with people you could be rejected by.
Yeah.
So what does that look like
on a
in
very
behavior-wise?
To put it simply, if a guy is very attractive.
Yep.
And again, I pick up on energy very well. And if I know that a guy knows
what?
That he could get any girl he wanted in his own mind.
Yes.
That is an immediate turn off for me.
Isn't that an arrogance thing as opposed to how attractive he is?
Yeah, so it is more of an energy thing, but it tends to be guys that are very good looking because, you know, it does just come with that territory, you know?
Yeah.
If I feel from a guy the energy of I could get anyone I want, it puts me off.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't want to get to know him. As in, like,
yeah,
I might fancy the pants off him and be like, whoa, I wish I could date him.
Yeah.
But I would never let myself go there because I'd just be like, I'm probably going to get hurt.
So is it a worry that with, let's say, guys who are quite attractive, who you would look at and you think, okay, you're probably the kind of guy who gets a lot of girls or something like that. Is it that if you meet a guy and you think that, then you would deliberately not open yourself up because you think, I may fancy him, but he's probably more likely to hurt me than someone else? Is that fair to say?
Yeah. So he's subconsciously friend-zoned. So on the surface, this is just through me understanding myself. Right?
Yeah, of course.
On the surface, I'm going, nah, I'm not interested in him. Nah, he's this, he's too arrogant and saying all these things.
Yeah.
But actually, like, deep down, it could be like, oh, I really fancy him.
So what if he approaches you then?
If he approaches me, I'll give him the time of the day, yeah. But I'll be constantly searching for all the little loopholes, like, is he being genuine? Like, you know.
He texts me at 3:04 instead of 3. Because with 4 minutes, he would some other girl.
No, and again, but my mind doesn't go to those places because, again, it just shuts off before then for me. I'm like, I don't have time to get anxious over a guy.
Yeah, of course.
I really don't. Like, and again, there's different some women watching this might understand exactly what I mean and how I feel. Other women might be like, oh my god, no, I'm always feeling anxious about men. There's nothing, everybody is completely valid in what they feel. It's just down to, like I was saying before, how your attachment style in that sense and the healing that you need to do and the you know. So
it's weird, like, because I've heard that from only one female friend before, where like she'll say, oh, if a guy's like too attractive, I just won't go there because I just think that either that even if I may want him, I may not be able to get him the way I want him to, or he may be seeing loads of other girls and there's this level of like competition anxiety which you don't want to have. And so I have heard that before.
Do you want to know the ironic thing though?
Yeah.
And this is something that, again, I know on like a level because of all the work I do.
Yes.
If you do that as a woman, which I've just said I do as well, like, and I'm working on it, but if you do that as a woman, what you're doing energetically is you're shutting him down as well. It is in like his energy towards you down. He might be really interested in you.
100%.
He might be like, whoa, like Jess Paul, oh my god, like I'm attracted to her. Like I think her personality's great.
Yeah.
But because I've gone, oh no, this guy could hurt me, you're subconsciously friend zoned. Yeah. Even if you don't say anything, the energy shifts and he goes, oh, but she's not into me.
He feels it. Yeah, 100%.
So you could be shutting down something just from those fears. And which again is another reason why we all need to do this work on ourselves because, you know, Yeah, 100%. I don't know what your opinion is on that, but...
What, in regards to... Oh, like...
How it can make a guy feel if a girl... Do men feel that energy shift in women when they subconsciously friend zone without actually saying anything?
I think that... I think some guys aren't aware when they've been friend zoned.
Okay.
I think some guys are aware, but they think, oh, well, if I'm just there for her constantly, then eventually she'll see that I'm an amazing guy who's there for her and we can have something amazing. I do think that there are guys where, I don't know, like if they're guys, let's say it's like you said, like the attractive guy who maybe girls fancy him or something, that maybe he could be into a girl, but then he's not getting anything from her. So he's like, okay, well, she's not into me.
Yeah.
You know, and the one thing I say when I coach guys is that the number one thing that will help a guy in his dating life is knowing when to stop chasing. Because I think there are so many guys in the friend zone. There'll probably be quite a few guys in your friend zone who are really interested in girls, in you, who are interested in you romantically, but obviously you just don't feel for them. It's more just platonic and stuff, but they're desperately kind of like, no, if I just stay here and stay here, eventually she'll come. So I think, I think the number one, and even for girls, I think the number one thing for girls is knowing when to stop chasing a guy for commitment. And I think it's a bit more difficult for girls because they could be having sex with a guy, and he may or may not be open to commitment, so it could be harder to understand that. But I think for guys, if a guy's like, oh, well, you know, there are a couple of girls or something, the one that I like, I'm not getting anything from her, then I'm going to give my time to someone who does like me. Do you know what I mean? So I think that does happen.
No, massively.
Yeah.
And I think as well, like, it can sometimes be frustrating, because I know I've spoken to some of my girlfriends about this before as well, where they are genuinely friends with a guy, and like they really, really like the guy as a friend.
Yeah.
And then they suddenly, over a period of time, are like, profess their love for them, and they're like, well, you just ruined the relationship now.
100%. Yeah.
And that has happened to me.
The thing is, do girls know though? Do girls really know? They know if a guy likes them. So
this is a really like interesting. You know, before you were asking what do you want to ask me as a guy?
Yeah, go for it.
What would you suggest a girl do in that situation if she has repeatedly made it very clear that you're friends?
Yes.
But he still tries it. What more can a woman do? You know, because, as I say, I've had friends in that situation. I've been in that situation
where, like, you've said to him directly,
where you've said we're friends, or oh, hey mate, and you know you're very much like that. There's nothing that you're doing that could ever suggest.
Sure.
What would you suggest a woman do?
Okay, so there's a difference in saying that we're friends and saying that this is not going to happen.
Okay.
Because saying that we're friends is not denying the path that he wants to take.
Yeah. No, that's true.
So, and I think, and this is a generalization, but I do think it's true, men communicate more directly. So, and they show things more directly, like, you know, even through aggression, like, you know, studies have shown that, you know, if a woman is aggressive, as like, if she's like competing with another girl in an aggressive way, it tends to be through gossiping and reputation destruction, whereas for guys it's more physical.
Yes.
Right? It's more direct. So it's almost like if he's a friend of yours, even if he's interested, it means he does care about you. I think you literally, as a woman, you have to say, I really like you as a friend, but romantically it's not going to happen with us. I just don't see that with you.
I think that is something really important for a lot of women to learn then. Like, I think it's, because again, it doesn't come from a, you know, and then guys could go, oh, she led me on. It doesn't come from that place, honestly. It genuinely can just come from a place of, I don't know what more I'm supposed to do. Like, you feel like you have said it, but clearly not bluntly enough.
Yeah. And
do you know what? It's funny because I actually did this the other day. Like, I'm not going to too much into the situation, but like, I did, and you know, I coach a lot on like your chakra points, and I felt such a release, oh my god, in my throat chakra. I was like, as soon as I said it to this guy, and again, it was might have come across as a bit brutal, but equally that's what you got to do. You just said that's what you got to do. So I'm a kind person. I didn't do it in a horrible way, but I did say it, and I said it very directly, and it was like this openness immediately in my throat, and I was like, oh my God, I feel so good. I feel so good.
Because every time you see him, you don't want the anxiousness of, oh, is he going to try something?
No,
You
exactly.
don't want that. Yeah,
and
100%.
and then as a woman, you can't, or whoever in the situation, you can't control their reaction.
Exactly.
And it's got nothing to do with you, their reaction. And you've got to be prepared for every outcome. But luckily, this guy was fine about it. He was cool about it. And maybe he had to go away himself and be like, okay, I'll allow myself to be sad for a bit, you know, fine. But like, that weight is lifted off your shoulders when you do.
So the example, the guy you said that to, do you feel that he's still as present in the friendship as he was before, or do you think that's
this
changed?
is a really interesting
and there's a reason I'm asking this.
Yeah, this is a very interesting question. The relationship has changed.
Yeah.
But I think that he's genuinely trying to, I don't think it's coming from a I'm wounded, I'm hurt, you've hurt me place. It's coming from a I don't know how to react now. Like, how should I be?
Yeah, maybe.
And I get that, you know, because that would, if I was on the other end of it, I would be the same. I'd be like, oh my God, what do I, maybe overthinking everything I say. I think it probably is coming from that place, and maybe it just take a bit of time. But I don't know what your thoughts on that are.
I think a lot of the investment in the friendship would have come from the hope of it becoming something more.
That's true.
So when you essentially have made it clear that that's not going to happen, I'm not saying it is, but let's say, for example, 60% of the friendship came from romantic hopefulness. You've just essentially deleted that 60% of the investment. So it's not that the friendship is dead, obviously. And obviously if he'll still care about who you are. Do you know what I mean?
That's very true.
But I think the investment is going to change, because it's like, okay, he knows there's no hope. And I have a bit of something that I say, I've never had to say this to girls, but I definitely have said this to guys when they come to me and stuff. And you may disagree with me here, but I always say to guys that never be friends with a girl that you are attracted to.
Okay.
Not that isn't attractive, because there's a difference.
So I read something really interesting about this, though.
Yes.
This is probably going to freak people out a little bit.
Go for it.
If you're friends, if you're with friends with the opposite sex.
Yep.
Like genuine friends, like you don't fancy them.
Yeah.
The reason you become friends with the opposite sex is because that subconsciously you do fancy them. Every single friendship, there is a bit of them that you are attracted to on that level.
Well, as in, you mean opposite sex or all friendships?
No, opposite sex.
Do you think? Can you be attracted to their personality but not physically?
Yeah.
Well, like, that's why you're friends with anyone, no?
Yeah, I know, but like on a level where you potentially could. By the way, this is not what I believe.
Yeah, go on.
This is what I've read.
Okay. I think I disagree with that.
Yeah. I'm not sure that I agree with it either. That's why I was saying it's a bit controversial. But yeah, that like the friendships that you have, there's an underlying attraction there. Maybe they did mean physically. I think the friendships you do have with everyone, there is an attraction, because you wouldn't be friends with them. But it could be attraction because... No, I mean physically, yeah.
Oh, you mean purely physical?
Yeah, I think what I read was that it was physical. Which is weird.
I think, you know what, I would say for a lot of guys that is the case. For a lot of their female friends.
Right, that's interesting. Yeah.
I would say that, as in it's the same thing, as in they're friends with them because there may be a glimmer of hope that something could happen.
What about with girls with
I don't think so.
Yeah, neither do I.
I think girls friend zone guys that they don't want. Sounds harsh. They don't want romantically.
Yeah.
I think if a girl wants a guy romantically, most of the time she'll have a chance for it.
Yeah.
If she wants it, and he knows, because, well, I think women have much higher standards than men. So I think guys are more... Do you think? I think they do, though.
Really?
Do you not think?
No, I don't know. I'm actually asking you as a...
Yeah,
as a
like,
man,
I mean, you know, we hear all the time, you know, girls will say that he has to be 6 foot, fit, handsome, all this, funny, intelligent, all of this. And a lot of guys, 6 foot, whatever, makes a certain amount of money. Because, like, for example, if I ask you something, and we know the stats on this, like, out of 50 guys on a dating app, how many would you swipe right on? Out of 50.
I don't swipe.
You don't swipe?
I just go on who's swipe me on Hinge if I use it. I don't use it anymore, but like if I did, it would just be like a bunch of likes, and I'd be like.
Okay, so out of 50 likes who you've seen likes you, how many out of that 50 do you look at? You go, I like the vibe of you that I'd go on a date with you. Like, how many do you give a chance out of the 50 that like you?
Honestly, it's been a very long time since I've been on this app, but yeah, probably not a lot.
Give me a number. 5, 6, 10, 3, 2, maybe 1.
Probably about 5.
Yeah. So most girls are like that. Most girls only give about, out of 50 guys who may take an interest in them, they only choose a few. Statistically, men swipe 50% of the time. So out of 50 girls, a guy will give 25 of them on average a chance.
But do you not think that, you know,
it's not a bad thing.
It's just this same, it's just not as vocalized like in men, because I don't necessarily think that men have lower standards, because I think that surely if like you respect yourself, you'll have a standard that you want.
I think you'll have a standard, but I think on average women have much higher standards than men.
Okay.
Like, for example, like, so we talked today, like a girl may reject a guy because he's not 6 foot, which happens a lot. No guy's ever going to reject a girl because of her height. Even if she's taller than him, if she's like ridiculously taller than him, then maybe if he's like really small, like if he's short.
Yeah.
But most of the time, a guy will give a girl, he's more likely to give a girl a chance. And I understand why, because when it comes to the initial part of dating, like the attraction, and, you know, because it's based on the physical attraction, women generally have the power, so they can afford to be picky, right? Which is absolutely fair. Like, if you're someone who has a lot of options, you can afford to be more picky, and more women have more options than men do. So I think that's why. But yeah, like when half the time guys just want a girl, someone, like, she doesn't have to be a supermodel or Instagram model, just someone that is just nice looking and will give them a chance, because most guys really don't get a chance. That's the honest truth. Do you know what I mean? I think.
But then when you say there's like a whole bunch of girls that, let's say there's a guy that's really fit by society standards.
Yeah.
And he's a model or something, and he's very attractive, and like there's a bunch of girls that maybe aren't models that, you know...
You'll still give them a chance, though.
Would they?
Well...
Would that male give a female a chance that is in his mind? And again, this is just what... this goes on in everybody's minds.
Yes.
Out of their league to themselves.
Yes. And I'll tell you why. Okay, yes and no. And I'll tell you why. I'm here to speak the truth. When guys are just looking for sex, their standards are much lower.
Okay.
So if the guy is perceivably, by societal standards, out of her league, she thinks that and he thinks that, if she offers him easy sex, he'll take it. 9 times out of 10. I mean, I guess that's technically still a chance because she's getting in the room with him, right? And she has a chance to be with him, even if he's not taking it seriously. Yeah. So maybe it's not a chance for a serious relationship, but it's more like, if we're talking about swipes on a dating app, he'll swipe right on her because she liked him and maybe she wants to just have fun with him. He's going to be like, well, yeah, I'm not going to say no to that. Like, that's how a lot of guys are.
No, interesting, yeah. It really does go back, all of this stuff, as you know, to what we were saying before, like cavemen and women era, to those instincts. Because interestingly, as you were saying that, I was just thinking, actually, if it was just for casual sex for me, I'd be after a hot man.
Now, this is one thing I was saying.
I'd be after someone that I'm like, yes, I want to rip your clothes off.
100%.
Yeah.
And this is what I was going to say. When guys are just looking for sex, their standards are lower. If girls are just looking for sex, and we're talking physically here, when girls are just looking for sex, their standards are higher.
Yeah, it's interesting that.
And I think it's because, like, well, because, you know, because guys are, their standards are low for sex. Like, if you're a somewhat attractive girl, you can get the hottest guy if you're just offering him sex.
Yeah.
Like, and that happens all the time. And it's not even that. Like, even, I'm just going by societal standards. Even girls, like, they're not models or supermodels at all. He's super attractive, but they're like, hey, do you want me to come over? We can have fun. He'll be like, what am I doing tonight? Nothing. Yeah, sure, come over.
Yeah.
That's how guys operate. Do you know what I mean? And like you said, sometimes a girl's just looking to have fun. Like, she's in that phase where she's just looking to have fun.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And that's fair enough as
long as they're both happy with that. But
yeah. And
but,
and actually, like, thinking of it that way, if then I was looking at like husband material.
Yes.
You know, like men use that phrase, wifey material. Right?
Yeah.
If I was looking for husband material, I wouldn't care if he had a six. I'd be looking for a dad bod.
Yeah, you'd be looking. Is it fair to say you're?
That's what I'm attracted to anyway.
Is it fair to say any guy in like great shape? He's like, damn it, I was gonna message her. Is it fair to say that your standards are just higher in different areas? So what I mean is, like, okay, if you look for husband material, he doesn't have to have a six pack and be in amazing shape.
My standards are all about. My standards are very high, but they're all about energy. Morals, personality.
Husband material?
That? Oh, massively.
So does it matter? You know what I'm going to ask. Does it matter whether he has a stable income?
Well, I'm going to probably be naturally attracted to someone that has the same drive as me, because I have a stable income and I am a multiple business owner and I work hard for myself.
So it does matter.
So I'm not going to say that it matters, but I'm just going to say that I'm probably going to be on a mutual understanding sense better off with someone that has their shit together in that way. Yeah. It's not a requirement of mine.
I
even
if it's I think even if it's a requirement, I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, I have to say, in terms of what I'm attracted to, I like ambition and I like drive, but obviously not to the point of I'm going to just think about my career and not you. Like, there has to be the balance, but I like ambition because I'm a very ambitious woman. So therefore, I don't suit well with a guy that's very apathetic. And I suppose some of my previous relationships, that has been the case. They've doted on me and they've been a loving partner, but if they don't have stuff going on in their own life, that makes it very difficult for me because I do. Yeah. I don't know whether that answered the question. I can't remember what the question was.
I think, and the reason I asked that is because I agree with you, like, their personality and energy, how they make you feel is important. But a guy can make you feel amazing, but if he's a bit of a bum, and he's not doing anything, and you're looking for something that's husband material, I'll be honest, I don't think you would choose him.
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah. And it's okay. And like, I think we should be real. And that's why we have these conversations, you know, like, where if you're just looking for sex, it doesn't matter if he's on that or not, as long as he's super hot.
As long as he's funny and he's hot. But equally, I don't want any men to be watching this video and going, oh God, like, you know, I feel that maybe I'm not good enough, like, for women, you know, in that sense. Because it's not about that. It's just about being on the same level as someone, on the same in a mutual understanding with that person. And I've done a lot of healing work. I run my own business. I do these things and I've done that myself. So therefore, yes, I'm probably going to gravitate towards someone who's similar to me. Doesn't mean that somebody else that is interested in me is less than that person or isn't good enough. They're good enough in their own respect. And they're going to find someone that loves them. But hopefully. We all want someone to love us, don't we? But everybody is perfect in their own way, and you got to be honest to yourself and honest to what you want. And again, like I said right at the beginning, that's all part of just knowing yourself. Because when I first met my ex, I was a very different woman. I didn't know myself. I had done none of this healing work. In fact, I really didn't know who I was. And I used to look at him and he'd light up a whole room, make everybody laugh. And I used to go, oh my God, he's amazing. And now he's a great guy. I don't have a bad word to say about him. Things didn't end amazingly, but I don't have a bad word to say about him. I forgive him for everything and I thank him for the time we had, right? But I have to admit, I look back on those years now and I go, we would not have worked in a million years if I was the woman I am today with you back then.
Why do you say that?
because I have found myself, and whereas back then I would look at him and go, whoa, he's everything. Now, because I've created something for myself and I know who I am.
You mean like career and work-wise?
No, I mean like self-love and know who I am, and,
right.
you know, I've healed.
Yeah.
He's not all that to me anymore. I don't put him on a pedestal.
Do you have higher standards now or different standards?
Different standards. It's not about...
Okay.
Yes, my standards are always high because I believe in high standards as a woman in every area of your life, right? But I just have different... I have different standards to what I had back then because I know myself. I'm looking for a man who knows himself too. So I'm not going to put anybody on a pedestal because, quite frankly, I'm good enough. I'm good enough for anyone.
So what kind of... so you said about personality, stuff like that. What kind of man... If you're going to describe your perfect man, your dream man, what does that look like? Like, describe him, like, whatever it is.
Wow. This is an interesting question.
Yeah.
Pretty much what I've been saying just before, like somebody that has drive and ambition, but someone that wants a proper connection on a spiritual level. And I'm not saying they have to be spiritual like me, like everybody is entitled to their own, you know, thing, you know. But someone that actually, you know, is ready for that connection. I'm not going to sit here and reel off a load of, they have to be, you know, 6'2" and all this, like...
Well, if that matters to you, then...
Sure, but attraction is important to me too, but I think the main thing is somebody that can work well with me because I know myself so much. And I know what is good for me and right for me, and I'm not going to lower my standards for anyone. Someone that can meet me at that energy and match that energy, and maybe like, because I do a lot of this work, and maybe you find this too in dating, because you know, as a coach, but
you can grill me in a minute.
Like yeah, like, you know, we were talking and you said, you know, I read a lot and I'm really interested in self-development, and I'm just interested for myself. Yeah. Because I've done so much of that work, sometimes I tend to be, and this is not because I'm trying to be, but sometimes I'm the one teaching other people things. Just through a lot of the work I've done, what I'm looking for in a partner is for them to teach me something, and for me to sit there and go, whoa, I never thought of that. Or
so you want a guy you can learn from.
Yeah. And who can learn from me.
Yeah. Well, why can't he learn? So the things that you've done the work on, why can't he learn that from you and you learn other things?
Yeah. But what I'm saying is sometimes in my own personal experience, there's been a lot of, wow, Jess, yeah, cool. Like, because I do like to talk.
Yeah. That's why she's here. That's why we love it. That's why we love it.
That's why I'm here. That's why I've got a podcast.
That's why we love it.
And, you know, and I obviously, I ask questions, and sometimes in dating, I don't get a lot back from them. And I give a lot, and I do teach them, and I've had this same thing from the last few men that I've dated. Yes. And it hasn't worked out, but we still talk, and, you know, we're friends. Yeah. And they've all said the same thing to me. You really helped me, Jess. Like, I learned a lot from you. Like, I'm really glad for the time we had. Yeah. It's great, and I'm so glad I could be that. I call people like that in my life, I call earth angels. I'm so glad that I could be that earth angel to someone and, like, help you, but I don't want to, I want to learn.
You want that from someone else? Yeah.
And the only way you're going to find that is if you meet someone, women watching, like, you know, wondering, that matches your energy. So don't put someone on a pedestal and constantly be learning from them, and don't date someone that you're just going to be like, you know, reeling off all these exciting things and they are just going to sit there and nod and go, wow. Yeah. Date someone that has something to bring to the table. Yeah. The same energy that you have. Yeah. I hear that. I don't know what your opinion of that.
No, I hear that. In terms of, like, I think, you know, matching someone who matches your energy is important, you know, vibrating the same frequency, and, you know, because that's probably going to determine how you have fun together, how you talk, everything like that, how you resolve conflicts as well. I think that I think that it's, you want someone who you can learn from, and I think a lot of women do express that as well, but I think guys just look for different things as well. I think I think it's like, I mean, like, and we've talked about this, talk about energies, right? Like, if you're a feminine woman, you likely are attracted to a masculine man. And if you're a masculine man, you probably want a feminine woman. So that's something that's different. Or like, I don't know, if a guy might look for a girl who is, I don't know, like, I'm trying to think of a good example of something that would be different. I mean, it's like, if a girl says she wants a guy who is older, then by default, he's choosing someone who's younger, right? Does that make sense? So there are some things, I think, when it comes to personality or individual, there's some things that are equal in terms of we look for the same thing. And I think, like you said, values and morals. But I think when it comes to attraction, I think it's more opposites, in the sense of, like, for polarity, for energy to happen, there has to be polarity, you know? So it's like, that's why the plus and the minus and the magnet join together. It's that energy. So, as well as, like, we've got the north and south pole, which creates the gravitational field of the earth, etc. So I think when it comes to the character and values, those things are the same, and you're right, that's where the energy is. But then I think when it comes to chemistry and attraction, I think that's found in the difference between the two.
Now, that's what I mean about learning from a guy.
Right.
That's what I mean.
Yes, I see what you're saying.
Right? Because, again, if we talk about, because this is something that I've heard you talk about before, and that I did mention to you, and that I talk about too, divine masculine, divine feminine, and how it's non-gender specific,
exactly.
Guys. It's not.
And we all have masculine and feminine in us.
It's not to do with men and women. It's just energetic, and the divine feminine is all about receiving. It's about receiving,
it's all about receiving.
The divine masculine is about providing and, you know, safety, and that's what all women crave. I mean, come on, the most bad bitch entrepreneurial women crave safety, and they do subconsciously. This again comes down to those real instincts. They want a man that can provide that. And so now it might look different, though, to how it did 50 years ago, right? True. Nowadays it looks completely different. So nowadays, for me, as a woman that sits in her masculine, I can't deny my natural instincts for wanting that someone to provide for me too.
Yeah.
But it shows up in the way, like I said before, that I want to learn from someone. I want someone to teach me something.
Right.
And I want to receive that.
So would you be happy, for example, I'm just giving you devil's advocate, would you be happy providing for a man, like, for the duration of a relationship, let's say on a financial level?
No. Fuck that. Like, provide for myself. I'm not gonna, like, treat him like a child. No.
And I think when I say about attraction, I think that's what I'm saying. There's a difference there, because men are happy to provide for the woman he wants.
And that comes down to instincts. Yes. Yeah.
So so even though you might say that you're in your masculine, that in some areas, and we all have masculine and feminine, obviously, because that helps for our career and whatever.
Massively.
But then when it comes to the man you want, then is it fair to say you're more on your feminine, or is it fair to say
when it comes to a man that I want, I work. And again, guys watching that, you know, I've talked about this healing journey. Yeah. I work on my feminine. I work on allowing myself to receive. One of the best ways, of opening up, of really working on that divine feminine as a female. Yeah. Accept a compliment. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, it just has to be that little. If you're so often people go, oh, you know, I like your dress. Oh no, it's cheap. I got it from Primark. Just say thank you.
Yeah, just say thank you.
That is one of the best ways to open up that feminine, and you have to actively work on it if you want to feel the way you naturally want to feel, you know, as a woman. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think in this day and age, there is so many, it's because it's so fast paced and we are, as a society, very much in our masculine.
Very true.
You know, women and women have worked so hard for frickin' years to get to a point where they are earning the same amount as men. Still, to this day and age, it's not happening still. You know, and these things that men don't understand that from a long line of
well, it's switched
women.
now for our generation.
So it's yeah, this is what I mean. It's getting to that point, but equally, you don't want to go the other way. Women, like, we don't want to be so in our masculine that we're not allowing any man in. Like, being in your feminine is powerful.
It is very powerful.
It is powerful. Like, and that's why I work on it. I think about it and I work on it, and I work on allowing things like, just started off with thank you, with a compliment, or can I buy you a coffee? Oh yeah, oh, I'll get it. Like, no, just let the person buy you a drink. Like,
yeah, of course. Well, fun fact, so single women under the age of 30 now actually out earn single men.
Well, that is a fun fact.
So snaps to you women.
Yeah.
But I think, and I'm just going to ask, because I know I've talked to guys about this before, it's like, there's, you know, women earn as much as men. There are some industries they earn more, some they don't. But women are very capable in career and financial nowadays. So guys are like, okay, so then why does it matter for a guy for how much he earns? Because she earns it already. So it's kind of like, you know, if you're earning great money and you can provide a certain lifestyle for both of you, why does he have to bring the same thing?
Why does he have to bring the same thing?
Yeah, why does he have to meet your level?
So I don't view money as a physical thing anyway. It's energy.
It's very true.
So it's just energy. It's an energy exchange. If you're giving more and he's receiving more, that's not a balanced relationship.
Is it fair to say he could be giving more in other areas than financial?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's all energy. I don't just view money as money. I view it as energy.
Yes.
So, you know, yes, he could be giving in other areas that make up that exchange, and it's an equal exchange.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
But not if you just got some bum sitting on the sofa and you're like providing for him. Absolutely not. Like,
well, I think guys would do that for a girl.
Yeah, guys would do that for a girl. Yeah, and like, again, I don't think that is very. That comes from that instinctive place we've spoken about. But I think that's just, there's no respect for yourself if you're letting that happen. I think
if a guy's doing that for a girl, he expects more from her in other areas.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think
what?
That's fair. Well, if we're talking historically, it could be like, well, if he's providing the house, you know, he wants her to make it a nice, peaceful home for them both. It could be, I don't know, like me and my ex, we did this, like, it could be a thing of, if we went shopping, maybe I'd buy the food, but because she wants to cook that night. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, like, you know, I like cooking, I cook as well. It's not like tit for tat in that sense. But it's kind of it's being a team, but there are some things where you play different roles.
Yeah, massively.
You know?
Well, obviously, because how the hell are you going to make any relationship work if you're just like glued together doing the same things all the time? Like, no, you've got to have that. You got to have that difference, polarity. You have to, like, that's just what.
'Cause that's where the chemistry comes. That's where the playfulness comes.
Exactly.
Yeah. I feel like I've grilled you a lot. Do you want to do a bit of grilling for me?
Oh my god! But I don't know what to ask you.
Anything and everything.
Okay, what sorts of things do girls ask you on these when you get people on?
Oh, it depends on the person. Oh, it depends. Like, it could be.
Is it like personal stuff, or is it like stuff that's I don't know?
Could be like obviously around anything around dating, or it could be personal, I guess. Well, I mean, I'm pretty open book.
Oh God, what am I gonna ask? I guess like what. Okay, because we're on the topic of masculine and feminine. If there is a woman that is very much in that masculine, that's done well for herself, and you can feel that energy from her, does that put you off?
It wouldn't put me off. It wouldn't put me off if she's done well for herself, because that's cool. That shows, you know, that she can follow through, and that's great. It's if she was leading, if she was trying to she was leading with her masculine with me to try and attract me, if that makes sense, then it's not that it wouldn't like be, oh, that puts me off. It'd probably just be like oh, we just don't match. Because I think, because there's nothing wrong with being masculine in your career, but then, and this is something I say with my clients, like, especially because like half my clients are women in their mid to late 30s who are high earning, right? And they're very much the strong, independent, successful woman, which is great. But they lead with that energy in their romantic lives, which means they then attract feminine men.
Yeah.
And they want to attract masculine men. So I'm like, okay, we need to lead with your feminine energy in your romantic life and then dominate with your masculine at work. So I'm not going to say it puts me off, but then I would say, okay, well, maybe energy-wise, we don't complement each other.
Yeah.
And it depends on what it is, because there's some things about me that are very masculine, but there's some things about me that are quite feminine. You know, I'm an actor. I have a very open temperament. I'm creative. That's quite feminine qualities traditionally. But then in relationships, from previous partners, what they've said, you know, like, they very much have seen I take the masculine side. You know, they feel very safe, very comfortable, very peaceful. And, you know, I'm just saying for me personally, like, if there's a girl that I care about, then I like to make sure she's taken care of in a sense of her well-being, because that even allows her to be more in her feminine. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So I was talking to my mentor about this, that the feminine can only come out when, and this goes for man or woman, but the feminine can only come out when they feel safe.
Yes. Yeah.
And if they don't, then because the masculine protects the feminine. In that, which is why I always say, as you know, I always say to women, like, I would always say, don't be intimate with a guy who you don't feel, if you could change your mind in the moment, he'd be okay with it, because it means you don't feel safe with him.
No.
If you don't feel like you can say no in the moment and change your mind, then you don't feel safe with him, and that doesn't help yourself, like, as an energy, as a woman. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think that, does that answer your question?
Yeah. No.
What do you think about that?
It's interesting. I've got this analogy about the masculine and feminine.
Go on,
so it's like a river, right? So you've got the riverbed.
Yes.
And then you've got the water.
Yep.
The riverbed is the masculine. It's secure. It's safe. It's grounded. It's linear. It has a direction. It's, you know, it's very much like that. The water is flowy, but you can't have one without the other. You can't just have water without a riverbed, because it's not going to flow anywhere. It's just going to.
It's also not a riverbed. It's just
a
ground.
Yeah, right. So, but equally, like, the same with, like, the riverbed. Like, it's just a hole in the ground if you don't have the water in it. So, like, you need them to work together, and both of them are just as powerful.
Yes.
Which I think is really important. But it's interesting that you say that about allowing a woman to feel safe, because that is the one thing for me. The reason I turn up my masculine around men is because I don't feel safe.
So what would you say, you prefer a masculine man or a feminine man for you romantically?
I want divine masculine in my life.
Yeah. So how do you, for yourself, how do you attract that man for you? Because if you're like in a bar and situation, and you might feel that you have to be. So
there's protected. A lot of that I've been doing personally. There's been a lot of, and again, maybe for those, I don't know quite your audience on this channel, and I don't want anybody to feel like I'm some hippy dippy person.
Listen, it doesn't matter even if they judge you. Say what's real for you.
Like, if they judge me, it's fine. I do genuinely want people to understand this.
Yeah.
When it comes to your chakra points, there's been a lot of sacral chakra healing for me, which is that area. So, you know, that's like the womb area on a woman.
Yeah.
It's the area of creativity and sexuality.
Yes.
There's been a lot of like healing in that area for me, and I think that honestly, if I want to attract in divine masculine, I have to be in my divine feminine. I have to allow that in. And so working on being in the like sexy, sensual, like allow that. Like, I've been in certain phases of my life where I've really been in that phase, where I've just been so comfortable in my body, and I've just been like, like, so I'm freaking hot.
What does that look like? Because I think a lot of women would be like, okay, it's great. to hear that. But like in an environment like, let's say you're out with your girls at a bar and there's a few guys there that you like the look of, a woman being in her feminine around men that she wants to attract, what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like fucking sexy self-confidence. That's what it looks like. Okay. You know, one of the things that I coach a lot of my students and, you know, inside my academy and my clients and everything that on self-confidence, on really freaking believing in yourself.
Yeah.
And one of the things I like to, like, we can do this now if we've got time, right?
Go for it.
Ask yourselves, right, when was the moment in your life? This is how we want to embody that self-confidence, that real sexy self-confidence. At what point in your life, because everybody has a point, did you feel freaking bad bitch sexy? Like, you just felt so tapped in, turned on. You were just like, yes. And for me, I remember it vividly. It was on like my 18th birthday party. I was in this club with my best friend, and I was slit dropping on the dance floor. I'd had a few tequilas and I was just living life. I felt like these are the beliefs going, well, here's what I want you to do. Think back to that moment in your life. When would it be for you? Where you just felt so sexy?
Well, I felt sexy. Oh, that's a great question.
I know this is like, we're kind of aiming this for women, but like also men can do this exercise too.
All right. Time I felt really sexy. Probably when maybe arriving at the press party of a press night of a show I was doing.
Amazing. Okay.
Everyone's looking great in their suits and everything like that.
Yeah. So this is an exercise in self-confidence, right? So I want you to ask yourself, I want you to first of all go back to that place in your mind right now, like go back to it and actually, like, those of you watching the YouTube channel, like, just take a moment to visualize that space again and go back there and then ask yourself, in that moment, what were the thoughts going through your head? Right in that moment, go back to that moment. What exactly were you thinking in that moment?
Does that feel great?
Feel great?
Yeah.
Anything else? Like, be honest, be brutally honest. What were you thinking?
I look good.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like the press party, so I was like, I knew I was going to do an interview later.
Like, what sort of things, when you looked at yourself in the mirror before walking out on that press night, what did you think about yourself and your body and just the way you dressed and everything?
Just like on fire.
On fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, personally for me, when I was slut dropping on that dance floor, I was like, everybody in this room fancies me. Like, even the girls, everybody here fancies the pants off me. I'm the sexiest girl on this dance floor. Bear in mind, I'd had a fair few tequilas.
Hey, listen, own it, man. Own it.
Right? But listen, they're the core beliefs that we should be living with every single day when you wake up in the morning, right? I'm sexy. I'm on fire. I look good today. They're not the beliefs most of us go to first thing in the morning when we look in the mirror. Usually people look in that mirror, go, oh, I look too fat, or, you know, or I'm too skinny as a guy. I know guys that say that. You know, those core beliefs you have felt at some point in your life. You have felt it. When I was on that dance floor, when you were at that press night, they were real beliefs going through your head. Now, what we want to do is we want to work on those beliefs every single fucking day so that it becomes such a part of your subconscious that when you wake up in the morning, damn, I'm sexy. That's the energy. Again, if we talk about healing that sacral chakra, when you're out there and you want to be in that seductive, irresistible energy, it starts with those beliefs.
Yeah, 100%.
You know.
So I have a question on that, relating to something you said before. So, because you're right, like guys can do that as well, right?
Yeah.
But then, what if you take, like you said, a very attractive guy who walks in with that energy of everyone fancies me? Is there not a risk of a girl looking at him being like, he looks like a bit of an arrogant prick?
So, energy cannot lie. There is a big difference between arrogance and self-belief.
Yeah, you can tell when someone's in their ego.
Now, the way we can tell is if you're saying these things and you're affirming these things and you don't frickin' believe it. So there's a difference. If somebody is showing up going, I'm the frickin' most good-looking person in this room, and underneath their energy is, I have no confidence, I have no confidence, I have no confidence. That's all you frickin' feel, right? Whereas if you've got a man coming into that room, believing, really believing, truly feeling, I'm good looking. Tonight, these women are going to fall for me. Right. And he believes that about himself because he's genuinely confident in himself. The energy women feel from that is, oh, I want to be around that man.
I guess it's especially that, and this goes for women as well, but especially for men. I think it's when you have that genuine belief, you don't need to do extra to try and emulate that. It's like people who are rich don't come into a room saying, "Oh, it's just so you know, I made 500k this year." Like they walk, like you just kind of, or people at status, like they don't have to try and show that they have status because the underlying confidence is there. So, and I hear that for sure.
You know, people feel the energy of need and neediness.
Of validation.
And
100%.
And, you know, if you're in that energy of, I don't believe in myself, I'm, you know, needy, I'm needing something from another person, it's just energy can't lie. And that's the difference. That is the difference between arrogance and self-belief.
Yeah.
And so if you've really worked on yourself and you genuinely wake up in the morning and you do believe these things, which I do about myself. And let me tell you, only a few years ago, I really didn't. I had body dysmorphia. I hated the way I looked. Every time I looked in the mirror, I just despised myself. I struggled with eating. I went through a lot of trauma back then, going through drama school.
Yeah.
And I chose to sort it out. I chose to work on myself, heal myself, love myself. And now I could genuinely wake up in the morning and go, do you know what? I am freaking sexy.
Yeah.
I am. And I am worthy. And if some guy doesn't think I am, that's his own problem.
That's his loss. That's his loss.
Yeah.
That's his loss. Listen, Jess, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for making the effort to come down. All the way from Manchester. Manchester. Tell us about your podcast. Where can we find you? For those who watch this and want to get in touch.
Well, my podcast is, and we were just laughing about it before, very, simply named the Jessica Paul Podcast. Nice. And it is all centered around manifestation and mindset and spiritual growth and self-development. So if you're interested in any of the energetics that we've spoken about today, like it's all on there. And that's on all platforms, Spotify, Apple, Google, everywhere.
Cool.
And you can find me on Instagram as well. It's just I am Jessica Paul. So,
I am Jessica Paul.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, Jess, thank you so much for coming to our channel. We're going to get her again at some point. We'll get her again. She's a great guest. Great sport. Has a lot of great stuff to share. So thank you. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you in the next episode. Pow.